posted on social media. Several parents also posted comments online at that time saying their children had been bullied, some beaten up. I'm Sean Murphy. When news breaks, we break in.
The managing director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, our good pal Tony D joining us as he does each and every Tuesday, has taken the universe by storm here, the media universe by storm, as he is constantly out there, whether it's on social media, Twitter, Facebook, here on the radio. Tony is making a big splash. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lee Elci. I'm proud to be among everyone.
All right, last time we talked, I asked you if it's at all possible for you to, make a list of the questions nobody's asked Ned, and you're actually in the process of doing that and posting that. But
I actually did it.
You did.
And it's one of these things, I don't know if you want to call it a knitting project or, whatever the thing was, but later on today, or actually this morning, I will post these questions. I will put them on Twitter, and I'll put them, in our show stream. And these are the 20 questions that no one is asking of Governor Ned Lamont. And this is exclusive of the construction scandal. The construction scandal will take care of itself. A lot of people are asking good questions about that. But these are the questions that will be on this list that really he cannot deny due to vagary. These are things that really, where there's hard proof, where he's never really accounted for anything. And what's really interesting is that when you watch this guy operate, he is a master shuffler. He is a master bagman. So that what happens is when something hits hard, he gets into the fray. Actually, he doesn't want to be there. Then he jumps away, and then people forget, and then somebody will bring it up a few days later, and he's like, well, I'm innocent until I'm proven guilty, or, we're doing everything we can. And he's a master deflector. So these are questions that I want people to have in front of them, to ask him, to ask the media, to ask your elected representative, whoever this elected representative is, because frankly, my view, we've chatted off the air, no one's really held this guy to task as far as anything is concerned. This is something I did to more or less get it off my heart and my chest. So now it's going to get off my heart and my chest, Lee Elci.
All right, so it's going out. Is there a time? I mean, we got appointment listening.
I would say approximately, probably before 8 o'clock this morning.
Oh, okay, good. All right, I'm looking forward to that. So how many questions are there?
There's 20.
20, okay. All right, 20.
And believe me, there's 30 more, but these are the 20 questions that really are, he can't answer without really kind of implicating himself or lying or admitting or whatever the case may be. And they all get forgotten. They all, like my father would say when we were, when he was running movies and he was splicing film, that's a story for another time. And these little shreds of film would end up on the floor, and he said, well, that's one for the cutting room floor. Ned is a master of the cutting room floor. And it just gets me so angry because people just don't hold them to it. Well, I figure, who's going to do it? All right, enter me. I'll do my best.
So you're doing this up on Twitter today?
It'll be on Twitter.
Okay,
and it'll be in our show stream. I will. When I do my usual good morning, I'll put it up there. I made PDFs. It's a 2-page document of 20 questions.
Okay, that's outstanding. So just so folks out there who are fans of Tony too, not only on Facebook. By the way, I ask you guys to join the fray, the fracas every morning, because it's a lot of fun. If you like my,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you like my Voice of Freedom Facebook page, you can be a part of that. So do that if you can, and then share it, and more people will get a chance to go back and forth. But when Tony posts that, definitely like it, definitely share it, and do the same thing for him on Twitter. What's your Twitter following so folks can find out?
Tony D'Angelo 7.
All right, Tony D'Angelo 7, and you can share that as well, because that's the kind of thing what you're putting together is that could go viral in the state and very, very quickly. So I'm looking.
Well, I'm just so tired of it. I mean, this guy is a dancing master, and he's a hiding master, and he plays the game. And I personally, Lee Elci, I know he's thrilled when people focus on one scandal, because the other 36 are just sitting there and nobody's asking anything about it. And shall he leave the race? Shall he not become governor?
Yeah.
the fact that no one is pursuing him on this, these things will never get resolved.
Do you think
they're certainly not going to get resolved by the people who were supposed to be opposing him? I mean, it hasn't happened in 18, 19 months.
Do you think that there's a chance? Because I'm not hearing this more often that he won't run. I'm hearing this now from, you've said it, you've intimated to it a little bit, or other people have come out and said, he may not even run. I mean, do you think there's a chance down the road that these scandals are so heavy he doesn't run, he pulls out?
Well, I think right now it's a little bit better than even money that he doesn't. That's just my humble opinion, reading tea leaves. I know no more than anyone else.
Wow.
But just watching his mannerisms and watching how he goes about things, he's doing a lot more hiding than doing, and that to me is indicative of something. I just think he's waiting for something to happen for that to happen, and it didn't happen yet. I mean, the lifeboat didn't come from Washington.
I got to be honest with you.
It came from Gina Raimondo. It didn't come from him.
Yeah.
So why that is, how that is, I don't know. I think that'll come out in time.
All right. Listen, you have been plugged into this from the beginning, so he looks disheveled lately. He looks rattled.
Horrible.
Lately. Right? Am I right about that?
And I think that when you see people who are in there's an old SAT word, maelstrom, that are in this thing of, getting their head beat, every way but lose 6 ways from Sunday. You can't hide it. Right. And it just keeps getting more and more, he'll do something and something else comes back upon him that's greater. It's really to the point where it's obvious. And I mean, personally, I think his State of the State was embarrassing. I think his mannerisms to me were quite questionable, and none of this really speaks well. So it's like if you're sitting in some other state and you're thinking, okay, well, I can use an East Coast base of operations. You ain't going to come here seeing that. You're just not going to. You'd have to be plumb crazy, that or try to seek a DECD bribe. Maybe you got better and even money of doing that. I don't know, but it's pretty terrible.
His name is Tony D'Angelo. We get him every Tuesday. Tony D on Twitter. Check that out. Now, Tony, so that's a couple of things. Did you want to mention any of the 20, or you want to keep us in suspense?
Well, I think I'll keep you in suspense only because I left that back in the other building.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and right, you're taxing my feeble memory, but I will. It'll be there soon enough, I promise.
All right, where do you want to go next?
Well, it's curious to me. When we started on this merry-go-round 18, 19 months ago, and where you had so kindly provided to me extra time to go through whatever you want to call it, the sort of COVID kabuki theater that was happening in the beginning, starting from when Candace Owens accused Ned Lamont of fraud concerning the quote unquote COVID baby that didn't die of COVID. Yep. And that week, we had looked at how our integrity-filled Department of Public Health kept changing the parameters for a COVID determination based upon what happened to be happening in the news. I mean, it was like watching Astaire and Rogers. It was unbelievable. But perhaps maybe 18 months too late, but things do take time to develop. There is a great article, which I'm going to refer to everybody, in the Epic Times called "The Truth is Coming Out About COVID Deaths." It's written by Joseph Mercola. And it's a highly technical article, and it talks about, the particular treatments and things like that, which really I am not expert on, so I will not comment. But the thing that fascinated me was really what we talked about in the beginning of attributed statistics, which to me, in the world I live in, an attributed statistic or a determination making something what you want it to be as opposed to what it really is, should get you thrown in jail somehow, except if you're these people. But in the United Kingdom, there were 6,483 deaths that were listed as COVID deaths during a period of, I guess it was early 2021. But when they examined, they found that only 346 people had passed on from pure COVID. The rest had comorbidities, age, other considerations, and other types of issues that would result in a demise in a short period of time. Now, our own CDC in August of 2020 came out and said it was buried, but and I've checked this out personally. Only 6% of the statistics that have been, beating us over the head forever are really quote unquote pure COVID. So, and it gets into the, financial incentives as far as calling things COVID. The Provider Relief Fund and the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, really about $25 billion happening there. But two things really bother me here, and I realize I've been off of this for a while. That the powers that be, the people in the beginning, Fauci, Birx, Trump trusted these people, sadly, to his detriment. But no one, and we talked about this, no one made an on-balance determination. Okay, if we go all the way down this road, what's going to happen to people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s and children and economies and commerce? And as you spoke about this morning, fuel oil and getting goods to market, it was like, we've got to do this, and we've got to do this at all costs, to the point of where, literally these people, I am sorry, they are committing fraud, because you cannot make a determination upon a statistic that you want it to be. You have to make it what it is, and if you don't have the information, you have to do the best you can. And it's just that, I sit here and I say, how many bills of goods have we been sold? Now, I'm not a COVID denier. I've had it. You've had it. Yeah, it's ugly. It's real. But, by the grace of God, you get over it, and, you have to deal with it, or whatever the case may be. Right. You take your precautions. You do what you need to do, depending on who you are. But, man, oh, man, it's like, what are we fighting here? And it's just... the most troubling thing is I think most of the people that did this and manipulated it, they're going to skate, and I find that to be, really horribly unfair.
Yeah. Tony, in the beginning, I'm sympathetic. Like, we were all scared in the beginning, right? We didn't know.
Sure.
We didn't know what to expect. But there was a certain point when they understood that this was only really, really affecting folks of a certain age and with underlying conditions. And at that point in time, they should have just let everybody go back to do what they thought they want to do, which is go back to work and go back to their regular life and let the chips fall, because people were ready. Instead, they kept us in hibernation for literally 2 years. And even now, right? Even now, there are people fighting about masks in schools and vaccines and getting a vaccine and the third booster shot and the fourth booster shot. It's insane. They're hanging on to this thing with both hands, and it's if it wasn't so serious, it would be a comedy. It would be a tragic comedy is what we'd be watching if it was on TV.
Well, I think Ron DeSantis had the perfect term: COVID theater. We live in COVID theater, and it's but yet if you read the Biden-Sanders unity agreement, or what I like to call the Biden-Sanders manifesto, COVID-19 is the plan of economic development, and it's all based upon the fact of, how badly Donald Trump screwed up, and we're going to spend the next 50 years fixing it, right. And, hurting as many generations as we can.
Well, it's just this perception somehow. Even in today's news, Tony, our newscaster said, and I got to get the, who put that together for him, but in it says 45% of the people in hospitals in Connecticut have not been vaccinated and that are under care. But the way it's worded, 55% have been vaccinated and are under care. So why even bring that up? Like, why is that a story? It's not a story.
You have an agenda. That's the whole thing, and that's what I find incredibly irritating. It's like this Epic Times article. One of the things they say is that they've never looked at the amount of deaths that are really attributable to what they call ventilator malpractice. People not knowing in the hospital how to use the ventilator, and there's better ways of, ventilating people. But it's like, we can't, that's something we can't let get out. Why not? We need to know that information.
Agreed. Tony D'Angelo again with us every Tuesday. Anything else, Tony?
Well, yes. If we've got a few minutes to gripe, more stories of economic stupidity from our number 50 of 50 states. There's an article in Hartford Courant, March 2nd, and you talk about people that just want to live in their own little dream scenario and have never really run a business or understand free market economics. There is a paralysis in the state. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Martian, German. We can't have a free market. A program will save everything, and we will legislate things to be better than all. For all. There is a state senator, his name is Derek Slapp, he's from West Hartford, and he is sponsoring something called Senate Bill 189. And what this is a civil rights bill on something that is called a pink tax. Now, a pink tax is sort of a, colloquial term for the fact of women pay more for their goods and their haircuts and their razors and, their personal articles and things like that than men do. Right. And it's this whole thing behind this. It's a human rights bill that, women are being gouged upon and we've got to put a stop to it. And here is, it's actually twofold, Lee Elci, as we were talking. Here's the Connecticut State Legislature sticking its thumb again in free market economics and saying, we are not, we're going to protect women from being hurt. We're actually, a woman goes, a man goes, whoever goes in a free market, and if they feel they're being ripped off, they're going to go on Yelp, they're going to go on Twitter, and they're not going to go back. It will take care of itself. But it's they don't understand the fact of what does the provider pay to bring the service? What are the wholesale costs? It doesn't mean that the man sitting there or the woman sitting there providing the service to the woman at the price is gouging them automatically. Now, I agree with you. I agree that there's gouging going on in oil, but it's the kind of thing that most business people are trying to stay in business. And what's incredibly infuriating is no one understands economics. Why isn't someone in the Republican Party saying, well, you keep your fat face out of anything free market? Let the market decide. People will know what they want to do. It's like I was saying yesterday to someone. If I had two clients, I have a woman client and a man client, and the woman client's a lot more labor intensive, and she pays $200 where my man client pays $50 because he's not labor intensive. He's not calling me 4 times a day. Right. Not that I mind being called. That an act of discrimination? I mean, no. These people are so clueless. It absolutely drives me crazy.
Well, the flip side of that is if that's the case, Tony, that's me and you go into business and we'll create razors that are more cost appreciative to women.
Let the market decide.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, what I was talking about this morning is there's got to be something to the idea that if there's gas, energy is different. Energy is like, to me, it's like water. It's a necessity. You can't live without it. We live in an age where
right.
It's not like a haircut. It's different. You have to have some kind of I don't know if I want to say control over it, but I mean, if somebody is out there with the gasoline that's in the ground already charging me 40 cents more because the guy down the street's charging me 50 cents more, there's something wrong with that because I need to get to work and I need to get to the store and I need that gasoline. Getting a haircut's a little bit different. And if somebody wants to create, you talked about how women, it costs more. Some entrepreneur would come up with a way to undercut everybody else and be a billionaire. I mean, I just don't believe that that's necessary to have any kind of legislation.
And it is this brain cancer in Connecticut. And again, it's pervasive in my estimation as a business person from both political parties. One, 30 times more worse than the other, that a program, government control will solve everything. If you open up the first 10 pages of any economic books, a controlled economy always collapses. Always. I mean, don't even bother reading the rest of the book.
The politicians, they need to find themselves something to do, I guess, Tony.
They need to find themselves a job. They need to go and run a business. They need to understand what it's like. And then, what I want to see, as far as somebody saying there is somebody, some Republicans saying, "You idiot, don't you understand what a business is?" No, it's always, politeness. And I'm not saying that as direct criticism, but other than the fact of, there are states out there that are kicking our butt because they understand free markets and what it takes to run things. And we ain't going to get anywhere unless, unless the light goes on somewhere. That's the part that drives me nuts.
Tony D'Angelo, now look for his 20 questions that have not been asked of Ned Lamont. That's coming up before the end of this hour, so we'll look for that.
End of this hour, yeah. I'll go in and do it, I promise.
All right, pal. Thank you.